It's my pleasure to welcome you here to the Clark Howard Show, where our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. And happy Friday to you. If you're a regular listener or viewer, you know that today is my opportunity to improve myself in our weekly Clark Stinks segment. Also, I've been asked what credit cards I carry and why I've updated what I use. And I'm going to tell you about a new tool you can use to help you pick the best card for you as long as you pay off your balances in full every month. So without further ado, it is time to hear how I'm stinking.
I should have never encouraged you to speak.
You must think I'm pretty stupid.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe you're right, pal.
The only thing I got to tell you is if you don't watch our YouTube show, you need to watch the Christa dance every time.
I know it doesn't happen every time. Just throw it out there once in a while.
Okay.
All right, we're going to start with this one. Your nickname just will not go away. Baby Clark. You smell
When
like...
did I reveal
We
that
talked
that's...
about that recently. I said something about Baby Clark, and you were like, yeah, they called me Baby Clark.
No, they still call
Yeah.
me Baby Clark.
Baby.
All my first cousins still call me Baby Clark.
Baby Clark, you smell like your last cloth diaper thrown into the diaper pail in 1956 and forgotten about. Not sure that would still stink. You keep on going with the laundry. Hot, warm, cold, good detergent, not good detergent. Take your walk, run, work out, and wash them any way you want. Take clean clothes and put them in a bucket of 50-50 ammonia water and let it stand overnight. The water will look like mud and no more stinky Clark. Steve.
What?
That's what he's saying.
Okay, this is beyond me. A bucket of 50% water, 50% ammonia.
Mm-hmm.
You just put the clothes in it, leave them,
Steve says.
and then throw them in the dryer?
I guess so.
Okay.
No, thanks. Not for me, Steve, but thank you. Not only do you stink, but are somewhat hypocritical as well. On one of your episodes, when talking about giving out or not giving out your Social Security number, you said it's okay to give it out to utility companies as they were extending you credit, but not a doctor's office. What in the world do you think a doctor is doing? He or she is also extending you credit. As a retired dentist, when still practicing, I wanted the social. Yes, it was in case the bill wasn't paid. Also, I could have been sued had I not protected that confidential information, which I always did. In your scenario, the utility company could have shut off the utility if not paid. However, as a dentist, I could not take back or repossess a crown, denture, or whatever. Also, which bill do you think gets shoved to the bottom of the pay list each month? Your doctor. And now healthcare unpaid bills can't go against your credit rating or bankruptcy. What is a doctor to do? You claim to be for small business, which most dental offices are, but apparently they have their own special category with you. Big, bad, rich doctors. I enjoy your show, but you are once again, when it relates to independent doctors' offices, way off base, thus furthering the socioeconomic or perceived socioeconomic divide. Side note, if I ever had a patient refuse to give their Social Security number, that was fine. However, they'd have to pay in full, and they would have to file their own insurance. Once discussed, no one refused, and it was no longer an issue. Gary.
Gary, thank you very much for that. Okay, so you bring up a really valid point that what my dentist has always done is they process the insurance while I'm there at the office and balance bill me right there for my part. And they are not extending credit in that case. And so that to me seems like the way a dentist would do it today is because they're hooked up electronically to the insurance companies, the dental insurance companies. They already know what portion insurance is going to pay and the rest for the customer to pay, for the patient to pay. And on the Social Security number, why am I so freaked about, and I've never thought about this or talked about this with dentists, but why would doctors' offices, hospitals, labs, the rest? Because roughly half of all data breaches each year are medical. You know, they're busy providing hopefully good clinical care, good medical care, and in the case of a dentist, good dental care. And there's not a big emphasis on the whole security aspect of the records, and they're all electronic now, and that's why the criminals have seen medicine as such a big fat target. That's why I don't want people giving the Social Security number, because of the whole data breach problem, identity theft problem that emanates from medicine so much.
Phew, Clark, you smell like stale data. Thank you for telling folks to keep their head on a swivel before, during, and after that rare visit to an ATM. However, violent crime stats are not getting better. The FBI quietly revised their 2022 rates up 6.6%, showing violent crime increased 4.1%. What's more concerning is the 2023 National Crime Victimization Survey shows a 55.4% increase in violent crimes in the last 4 years. A false sense of security will not keep people safe. However, self-protection and training just might. Lou,
thank you. Those stats are frightening, and it's completely true, but those are backward-looking statistics. Crime is still way too high. One person victimized by a violent crime is too many. But the crime rates of late have been much better than they were. There was a huge spike during COVID with crime. There's no doubt that it's dangerous when you're accessing cash. You think how many businesses don't accept cash anymore, so they're not a target. And so few people carry cash anymore. 2 of my 3 kids don't carry a single dollar of cash. I don't know if that's true with your kids. Do they carry?
I doubt they carry cash.
I mean, they're becoming less and less a target. But yes, when you are going to an ATM, it is a dangerous event when you're going to that machine.
Clark doesn't stink, but the press release he read about the UK electronic visa for U.S. passport holders was misleading. For many years, U.S. passport holders have been able to use the electronic gates to pass UK passport control and to enter the UK. This new process and fee does not enable a new benefit. Furthermore, it's easy to be confused between EU membership and European border policies. Even before Brexit, when the UK was a member of the EU, they still had a separate border policy and the passport control from other EU members and the Schengen open border area. There are a lot of overlapping policies and treaties in Europe, and it can be hard to keep them all straight. In this case, the UK leaving the EU has not changed their border for U.S. passport holders. There will still be one e-visa needed for the UK and another e-visa for the Schengen members of countries in Europe. Worldwide, Matt.
Matt, thank you. And yes, that is something I forgot to mention when I was talking about the EU instituting the electronic, what do they call them, ET? The countries around the world that are all coming up with these fees where you have to have this entry document fee. And so the EU keeps delaying theirs. It's probably going to go into effect sometime in 25. And it's so common that people will go to the UK and then go somewhere on mainland Europe. And now you're going to face 2 entry fees instead of 1, just as you said. Okay, on the thing of Americans being able to use the gates before, it was very hit or miss before. Now the benefit of having been pre-screened with the electronic authority is that it should be common and usable by virtually every American going into the UK, being able to go through the electronic entry gates.
I'm an IT network administrator working in cybersecurity. I just listened to your podcast where Clark said it's recommended to go online and close all of your old abandoned accounts so your leaked password isn't able to be used to access any of them. He missed a super critical point, however. Those old accounts don't matter. What matters is the reuse of that old password. Forget about the old accounts. They're okay if you don't want to use them and don't care to close them. What you absolutely positively must do is make sure you never reuse those old passwords. It's critical to change your password on active and important accounts and never ever reuse the same password on multiple accounts. Brian,
Brian, I mean, gosh, absolute proper password hygiene. You're talking about it. The great news is that passwords are going to become less and less and less important till they go in the dustbin of history, because the password thing just flat out does not work. Everything we're doing is trying to mitigate risk with passwords, and the whole password thing by itself is risky.
I could never say that Clark stinks because he's helped me so much. But after many years of listening to him talk about hospitals as the bad guy, this last Clark Stinks segment was the last straw. He said that hospitals are the sole reason why healthcare expenses are so high, and referenced how health system CEOs make millions of dollars. Yes, while some CEOs in large health systems do make a good bit of money, the reality is that most hospitals in the U.S. barely break even. Please go take a health economics class so you can understand how extraordinarily complicated health economics are in the U.S. To say that insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, medical device companies, and the government itself have no bearing on healthcare expenses is just wrong. Please stop oversimplifying it. If it were easy, the U.S. would have figured out what to do about it by now. Additionally, being the CEO of a healthcare system is one of the toughest jobs out there. While I agree perhaps some CEOs in large health systems make too much money, the reality is it's extremely demanding and a difficult role 24/7. Stacy.
Stacy, thank you very much for that. And yeah, it would be the height of arrogance to say that one thing is the reason we have the highest healthcare costs in the world. And our healthcare costs are so much higher than even the next closest country. It's obscene when you look at the cost per person for healthcare. I mean, just absolutely crazy ridiculous. But let me say this to you. If you look where the greatest cost pressures are in the medical universe, it is hospital systems, and how hospital systems are buying up competitors in mid-size and major metro areas, buying up medical practices, and everything is about creating a pseudo-monopoly and being able to eliminate price competition in a market. And so, no, hospitals are not the sole issue. And yes, you could do a reality show. Hey, come on, everybody's always looking for another reality show. You could do a reality show of what it's like to run a major hospital system. You just have to fuzz out everybody's face just about that would be in it.
Not enough
because
drama.
of HIPAA. Not enough drama?
No.
Not enough drama. I don't know who's dating whom in the hospital.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I do think there are a few esoteric details about charitable giving that you can use some help with. A recent Clark Stinks post suggested using regular IRAs for charitable giving as part of an estate plan and saving Roth IRA money for bequests from to families or friends. However, you then mentioned making gifts from an IRA to a donor-advised fund. Unfortunately, qualified charitable distributions from an IRA cannot go to a donor-advised fund per IRS regulations.
Okay.
That rule is a constant source of confusion with our donors in the community foundation sector. However, QCD gifts can fund many other types of charitable funds, scholarships, designated funds, etc., and are wonderful gifts to send directly to your favorite charities. Thanks for everything you do. I'm still proud that my husband and I were featured in one of your books many years ago. Kathy from Big Fork, Montana.
Kathy, thank you very much. And I appreciate you saying that, because I did not know that the IRA charitable deduction or donation could not go to a donor-advised fund. And I appreciate that update from you.
Clark, you smell worse than my ski gloves on a warm spring day here in Colorado. Please stop telling people that the low-cost cell phone plans are as good as the big carriers they lease the bandwidth from. Perhaps if you live in a large city, this may be true. But here in Eagle County, Colorado, one has to buy from one of the big three or the cell service is horrendous. I work in IT. I've tried the low-cost providers, and they literally do not work. And he cites a New York Times study, and that's from Bob.
Bob, thank you. And you're right. I do have an urban-suburban centric kind of process in my head. And that's crazy because I've lived in rural parts of America before. And I'll remember that moving forward about the cell phone industry.
You stink worse than my rotting, abandoned 3 weeks of vacation. I really have a beef with the way you lecture us on taking all of our vacation. What you don't understand is the majority of Americans don't have jobs where the work can sit there until we return, or we can delegate to someone else. I've worked at large companies and small, and it's the same at both. Stress begins to mount as we think about facing the 500 emails and work that we need to catch up on. It's much less stressful to take it with us or minimize the time away to avoid the backlog in the first place. Not everyone can work at a Cush podcast show where you can just play reruns if you're not there. Love you, but this is just not a reasonable expectation in today's job market. Rob.
Rob, thank you. What you described to me is an employer that is not respectful of employees, because people need time to recharge. People need time to step away. And if you are in a corporate world where you feel this burden on your shoulders grow and grow and grow, every day you devote to yourself instead of that corporate entity, that's a problem. And it's not good for your health, mental or physical. And it's not good for the employer if they don't adequately provide a way for people to disengage. It's so important to be able to step away, get that time to reset, to enjoy yourself, to enjoy your family, to enjoy your friends, to enjoy the experiences you have when you're away. I'm really, really big on this. And I think it's so important that everything is not about work in our lives, that we have to have separation from work. And I think it's key to you being able to really enjoy work is knowing that you can take time from work. And I want to thank all of you who have posted today, any other day. It is so helpful to me, first, to see where I got facts wrong. Second, to see where my preconceived notions could be wrong. Or even to hear how I communicate could be offensive. The way I'm saying things is so useful to me. And I thank each and every one of you for taking the time to do your post. Coming up next, we're going to talk about how I have adjusted what credit I'm using, what credit cards I'm using, and why, and how I make those decisions and how they can be helpful to you making decisions, what you're carrying in your wallet. If you watch football like I do, the only time I ever see commercials all year long on television is football season. And it's interesting to me how the mix of commercials has changed so much. It used to be dominated by car companies and beer ads. And now it seems that there's one after another credit card ad and cell phone company ad. And the credit card companies are in such a market share war. They fight and they claw and they scratch to get customers. And right now, we have more people running balances on cards than we've had at any time in memory. People are not in the same numbers paying balances in full. And it's a direct reflection on what's happened with incomes in the United States and the cost of living with the inflationary cycle from COVID. And so a lot of Americans, particularly in the lower half of income earners in the United States, are using credit cards to survive month to month with bills and are running balances on these cards at an average interest rate now of somewhere around 25%. It's 25%, depending on how you've shopped around for cards. And then we've got almost half of the population that uses credit cards only as a payment system. And I've talked recently about what you should be doing. If you missed that, I'll just say very briefly, the big thing is not to go with who's soliciting you for credit cards. if you run balances. But to run to a credit union, not walk, get a credit union card, because the interest rate charged on credit union cards on average is half for someone of the same credit score what it is from a big bank. Half the interest. Huge difference in your life. That's all I'm going to say about that today. Because I'm talking today about people who pay their balances in full and how you make the decision what to carry. Truth. Most of us do best if you pay your balances in full with cashback cards. If you're not into travel and you're a member of a warehouse club, or you're a member of both two of the three major warehouse clubs, which I am, Sam's and Costco, I carry Sam's Club's MasterCard. I carry, they got to cover that number. For those watching the YouTube show, I carry the Costco Visa card because of all the cash back you earn as a warehouse club shopper, no annual fee with either. That has not changed in my life. And then for cash back, I carry the Navy Federal credit card as Navy Federal member. I have the 2% cash back card. And that's how I handle the things that I do shopping routinely. But I have made a change in the mix of how I use cards because my wife and I, now that we're empty nesters, are traveling a ton. I mean, a crazy amount internationally and domestic. I just love it. And we're doing a lot of it. And so the cards that I carry that are the change in the mix that I've gotten over the last 2 years as we were anticipating being empty nesters, the Capital One Venture X and the Chase Sapphire Reserve. And for the business side, because I have corporate cards, I have the American Express Platinum. So I have the big three of the independent travel reward cards. I don't know anybody else on earth that would make sense for. But I have all three of the ones that make you a free agent, and you can earn points and use them a bunch of different places. You got lounge accesses of various types when you travel a lot, and you have to have a lot of charge volume over the course of the year to make these cards work. And so, but personally, I've got the 5 cards I just talked about, the Sam's MasterCard, the Costco Visa, the Navy Federal 2% cash back, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and the Venture X. Now, the Reserve, nothing has an annual fee except the Reserve has a huge one, and the Venture X has a huge one. But I'm able to net out the cost to less than zero with both of them because of the perks that come with them and the free travel you get and all that with them. And then there's the 6th card I carry that I've carried for a generation. The Southwest Rapid Rewards Visa that I have for this reason, because every year, combination of flying and charging, I earn the companion pass. And since 2006, my wife has flown free with me every flight all year long on Southwest Airlines. And so that is my mix. If I was not a traveler, I wouldn't have any of those 3. I would only have cashback cards with no annual fee. But in my case, because I travel so much, I have these cards. And the Southwest is kind of an outlier only because of that companion pass. They do away with that, I wouldn't carry that card. Because being a captive with an airline card is such a ripoff. The airlines just on a whim at any moment can change how many points it takes to go somewhere. The beauty of the Chase card, the Capital One, and the American Express Platinum is that you can transfer points you have to any of a variety of airlines. And whoever's got the best deal on the trip you want to take, you make sure it's available. Then you instant transfer. Most of the programs are instant transfer. You book it, and you're going on points. So that is my mix. But I will tell you, the credit cards tied in with the airlines, as a general rule, are fool's gold. They are not worth having. For your individual situation, we have developed, with great effort and expense, a credit card tool that you can use to figure out for your personal situation what card is actually best, or card combinations are best for you to carry to get you the most bang for your buck. And so if you go to clark.com/credit card tool, you'll see how to use it. Krista?
That's a great tool. Okay, we'll go to this question from Dominique in Maryland.
By the way, what's your favorite credit card?
Probably my Chase Sapphire Reserve for the travel perks, for sure.
Oh, that is your favorite.
Dominique in Maryland says, I'm a frequent traveler who funds as much of my travel as I can with rewards. For years, I've had a Chase on United Explorer and Chase Southwest Visa. I pay $95 and $149 annually, respectively, for these cards. I use the United card for international flights and booking cruises through United Cruises. I cruise 1 to 3 times per year, and each cruise nets me 10 to 30,000 additional bonus miles, depending on the length, just for using the card and their site to pay for it. The Southwest card I use for all my domestic travel due to the value of the points and the cheap fares I consistently find to all the places I want to go. I charge about $40,000 a year and pay my balance in full each month. On one of your shows this year, I heard you make an offhand comment that Chase Sapphire Reserve is only worth the hefty fee if you spend $60,000 per year on credit cards. How did you come up with that number, and how can I calculate if the card is worth it for me? The cruise professional I use at United Cruises told me the Reserve card doesn't give the cruise purchase bonuses.
Yeah, okay. So when I talk about $60K, I'm trying to wake people up on the Sapphire Reserve. Because Sapphire Reserve has a very high annual fee, $550, I think it is. Is that right?
I'll look.
I think it's
I should know.
$550. And it's all designed around perks. The other independent free agent card that I like a lot more than the Sapphire Reserve that's Krista's favorite is the Capital One Venture X. Because then you don't have to make an argument about how much you have to charge to really make it worth. Because with the Capital One Venture X, it has a $395 annual fee. Was I right on the $550?
Yep, $550.
Okay. So the Capital One Venture X is $395, but what you get is you get $300 in travel they pay for right away, so you're down to $95 annual fee. But wait, there's more. Every year they give you 10,000 points, which is the equivalent of $100. So you're essentially, if you're a traveler, you end up with a net annual cost of minus $5. And then you get 2x on everything you charge, where with Chase, most things you get 1x. So, and you get lounge access and blah, 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 blah. So when somebody's trying to make a decision who loves to travel on a free agent card, my favorite going away, no doubt, is the Capital One Venture X. And if you get the Capital One Venture X, you don't have to worry about the Chase where I'm worried about how much spend you need before it's really something that's worth it for a traveler to pay that $550 annual fee. I travel so much. I mean, I'm in the air this year. I'm traveling more than 30 weeks a year. 30 weeks out of 52. And so...
Not full weeks. You do
full
the
weeks,
podcast.
But I'm in and out, in and out, in and out. And so I live in airports. There are so many airports in the country that I know where everything is in the airport, which is weird, right?
Yeah, it's great.
So it's just my thing. And so that's why I'm mega with these cards. But for most people who don't have the kind of crazy travel that I do, and you're picking one, that would be my choice.
David in Texas says, I've had mild hearing loss and have been considering hearing aids. I've heard that the Apple AirPods 2 Pro 2 function well as a starter hearing aid. Will they qualify to be paid from an HSA account?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because the FDA, I think the clearance is done now.
Yes, it was done like a month ago.
Oh, I didn't think it was. I thought it was pending.
No, I looked it up.
It is done. Mm-hmm. So what Apple has done is just phenomenal. They followed Bose into having things that tie in with your phone and also are wonderful for mild to moderate hearing loss. And there's something people are already wearing. There's no stigma with the Bose product or the AirPods. A lot of people won't wear traditional hearing aids because they have this thing that they feel weird wearing them. And so what Apple has done and what Bose has done is just fantastic for people. I should say the Apple product is a lot cheaper than the Bose, at least to this point.
And Costco does some pretty good deals on those, too.
On the AirPod
2s? Yep. Jeff in Tennessee says, while I love my local credit union, it is a pain to deal with for international travel, logging into the account, getting funds through ATMs, etc. I think maybe I should open an account through a bank. Insert screaming sounds here. For international travel, primarily Europe, access only.
So, Jeff, it depends how much you're traveling to internationally, Europe, the rest. You could do a Revolut account, Revolut, which is really good for people traveling international, especially Europe, with the ATM access and the rest, and you avoid the horrendous bank fees. Or my favorite is a Charles Schwab account because they give you unlimited ATM access fee-free. They even absorb whatever fee an ATM charges. And I want to mention, having been in France 2 weeks ago, that the trick in Europe is spreading. That you go to an ATM and they try to con you into doing your withdrawal, converted as a convenience, it says, into U.S. dollars. Don't fall for it. You're ending up paying typically about 10% in junk fees for your withdrawal if you do not take the withdrawal in the local currency, whether it's euros, pounds, Swiss francs, Japanese yen, wherever you are in the world. If you see on an ATM that thing, is a convenience, we'd like to convert for you to U.S. dollars. No, no, no. You want it in local currency and avoid the fees. But Schwab's thing, free account, free ATM card, and no fee for using ATMs in the United States or around the world. And at this point, still no cap on how many withdrawals you can make fee-free, and then they absorbing. Like if you go to an ATM in the U.S. and it says, this will be a $4 fee, Schwab covers that fee for you. So it's really, really a wonderful deal. The best I know of on using ATMs. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend in front of you, a great weekend. Do fun stuff this weekend. And know that we serve you at Clark.com and Clark Deals all weekend long. And we will see you in the National Holiday Week, Christa's birthday week, coming up next week. And she'll be 27 on her birthday next
52,
week.
52, and I'm proud of it.
I would never, ever ask someone to reveal their age.
Why not? It's great.
Some
it's
people
great to
aren't
be able
into
to
that.
age.
Okay.
It just gets better.
All right. Well, you enjoy your weekend, and again, we'll have all the birthday banners and all that.
No, we will not.
We will not on your birthday?
No.
You know, it's my sister's 80th birthday the same day as yours.
Isn't that funny that we have the same birthday?
Yeah. Anyway, enough about us. Enough about us. You go enjoy you, and we'll be back at your service Monday.